mean, what's the, I guess, the regulations? You have to be a college player, or how does this work?
You have to be on a college roster previous to our summer season beginning. Additionally, we have one little caveat to that. If there's a high school player that's graduated that signed a letter of intent to play college baseball, we will take a handful of those types of players on.
So you're
It gives
talking
them an
about it.
opportunity to kind of prepare themselves for the college level of play.
So you could be a high school, coming out of your high school senior season, and you've already signed and you're going somewhere,
Hmm.
and you've already, obviously, since you've signed, you will be on a roster.
Yes, that is correct. That's the only caveat to what I had said about previously being on a college roster.
And then, like, what if you just graduated from college in baseball? Can you still play?
If you've been on a spring roster, we will take a look at that. But a lot of those guys are moving on. The kind of players that we're looking for, that graduated senior is probably going to be drafted by a Major League Baseball team, or quite frankly, playing ball for a independent minor league team.
So it's mostly, what does it boil down to? Usually mostly freshmen and
I would
sophomore.
say that the core group will be freshmen and sophomores.
So like 19, 20-year-old, 21-year-old players just
Correct.
throwing heat and just out there just playing, and they'll play three in one day and they'll be happy. And the locker room just smells like young guys that don't just questionable hygiene.
Well, I would say that there'll be young guys that are looking to have a future in the game of baseball.
Okay, I'll
And
I'll
and
put the other color in it. I played college baseball, and those were the guys I hung out with questionable hygiene and would play all day long just for playing,
for the love of the
for
game.
the love of the game. Hey, let's go. We got a guy on the line right now that knows for the love of the game. How you doing, Ron?
Good. I never hung around anybody who stunk before, but
Wait a second. You played baseball in the region and so forth, and you know exactly what I'm talking about. Hey,
I was one of those guys that didn't want to take my jersey off after catching a doubleheader in the heat. But that is the love of the game.
tell us about your involvement with the Oilmen.
Well, you know what? Don talked me into it. Kind of bribed me. No, I'm just teasing you. But, I've been wanting to do something in baseball locally for years. I did a little bit with the Schaumburg Flyers, was part instrumental in bringing the team over to Gary, initially in the Northern League, but wanted to move it out to Maryville next to the water park for drawing attraction. But, over the years, that's lapsed. I still work full-time for the Chicago White Sox. And, Don was talking about the Whiting ballpark. And, I went over there one night with him, and it's a great place. It's a great city. The mayor does everything he can to promote in throughout the city. And I think this is a great tie-up right now, and I'm just glad to be part of it.
You're going to get a lot of 19, 20, 21-year-old kids playing baseball. That has to bring some joy to you to be involved with these young guys.
Well, I was at that age too, and nobody's going to go to your house and watch you. You got to be out playing someplace. So this is a stepping stone. This is like maybe the first step for some of these young kids. That's a wood bat league, which I really am very partial to. I think if you know how to hit with a wooden bat, you can climb the ladder a little bit faster. It's one of those things. You go to a tryout camp, they take the best 10. Then you go to the next level, they take the best 10. All of a sudden, that best 10 keeps getting harder and harder to compete with. But this is a good step for these young college kids to see if they can compete at the highest level. And, you're coming to a nice ballpark, great atmosphere, good people, and everybody's going to be hungry, which is the main key.
Now, you talk about it as being a step. In other words, you guys are, I think Don mentioned it's pre-minor league. These guys are playing in college. Is it the kind of step that kids might be able to, I say kids, I guess they're men at that point, that these young men would be able to use as a stepping stone into the minor leagues then?
Oh, they have to. I personally, 10 years in the major leagues, I signed out of 2 tryout camps, one in LaPorte, Indiana. Out of high school, I was destined to be an iron worker or play basketball. Went to a trial camp. The second time after I broke my neck, I went to another trial camp and got signed. So those little things or dreams, they do happen. But somebody has to go out there and see you play. They're not going to come to see you play cricket in your front yard on the street corner with your buddies. knocking over beer cans. You got to go out there and play a little competitive baseball. And competitive kids get noticed. It's amazing. Everybody wants to be a scout. Everybody wants to, what do you call, find that diamond in the rough, and that happens. But you got to go out on a field. And if you're in a good program, a good environment, people want to come out there. And I think Whiting having a great ballpark right now, and people aren't going to go out there and sit in a mud hole watching some kids try to play on an ungroomed field. This is going to be a good quality field and decent play. And these kids will get better. The more they play, the better they're going to get.
Ron, you played around the region. You know this area. You grew up here over here in Gary. Can we get Can we get energy behind a local team and get people out to the ballpark?
Well, I think at this level you definitely can. I'm not sure if it's not going to support an affiliated team. Don knows personally. I talked to Jerry Reinsdorf, who I'm employed by and friends with, great businessman, and I told him what I would like my involvement to be. Does he have any Bill Feedley store? And he said, absolutely not. You know what? Because we're not paying a payroll for these kids out there. They're out there to earn their jobs, earn their respect, and I think if they don't do it, they're going to be sent out. Somebody's going to replace them, and I think Jerry Reinsdorf looks at it this way. I think he thinks I know a little bit about baseball, which I hope so, and it's good to keep myself active in different things that involve baseball, because the more press you get, the better it's going to be for everybody and myself. And these kids, I call them kids. They're 21 years old. They don't even know what to do half the time. I got a 23-year-old that doesn't know what to do half the time, and you got to keep them focused. And if you surround them with a couple of good coaches, good mentors, these kids will get a little bit better. And what's nice is the city of Whiting or the town of Whiting will see these guys, or at least one or two of them eventually, climb the ladder, and you create a loyalship with it. And I think that's what's remarkable about the game of baseball.